Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kicking It with Coach K podcast. I am your host, Coach K. I am with my guest today. This is Coach Poe. We're going to go over a few things, and then we're going to dive into Coach Poe's story. Obviously, some questions for him on some topics of today that maybe some other shows aren't talking about. Jump in depth on some coaching philosophies and those different things. So before we get started here, this show is brought to you by Brain Jerk Entertainment, Kennedy Health and Wellness. Welcome to the Brain Jerk era. These guys are the leader in this community and surrounding. I would even say it's growing beyond that, beyond just this community to the Midwest. These guys are doing comedy shows. They're starting to expand all over the state. They're doing fundraisers. They're doing all kinds of events. Go to brainjerkentertainment.com or go to their Facebook and Instagram page. You can always find updates of what's going on. We're, of course, always sharing it. So make sure you guys check them out. Kennedy Health and Wellness, your one-stop shop. Everything wellness, from body care and candles to coaching services. Obviously, shout out to my wife for handling the body care and candle side. We got a lot of coaching stuff going on right now. So if you're looking for personal training, sports performance, development, those sort of things, I got you covered. We also have a great group of sponsors of this show that we always want to give some love to. Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, the Little Brown Jug, Deb's Floral Designs, Lane's Pizzeria, IWR, Muggsy Sports Grill and Bar, Monroe Sports Center Bowling, Nerdy Designs, and All Hard Athletics. So real quick, before we jump into our quote of the day and our read of the week, I just want to remind everybody that we have that sports development camp coming up at the Opportunity Center at the ALCC. Shout out to the center. That's May 6th and 7th. That's going to be an awesome camp. We got tremendous coaches coming in. We've got all 30 spots full. Might be able to fit a few more. If you're still interested, reach out to me. But going to be an incredible camp. That's free of charge. So if you're interested, let me know. We also have our sports performance class and our big back prep, which is a weekly thing that launches May 13th at 1817 CrossFit. Extremely affordable. We're going to be working on all types of stuff from an athletic development standpoint, football skill building standpoint. Shout out to Overtime Athletes. We'll be introducing Monroe more to the OTA ways and kind of how we do things, the coaching and systems. Let's jump in, Coach.
What's up, man? What's up?
Not much, man. Let's jump in now that we got all that stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
So our quote of the day is, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." That's by Jackie Robinson. The reason I chose that quote, it always pertains to the guests we bring on. So, Poe, I chose this quote today because, man, I feel like, and I say this, I know you're a very humble guy, but I say this, and it's just the truth. Every person I think you go around, you impact in a positive way. I truly believe that, whether it's every kid you coach, every coach that's been around you, just the people you come across, man. I believe everybody comes across your path and leaves in a better place. Yeah. So for that, I admire that. Appreciate it. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm that. I don't know if I've always been that kind of person. Yeah. But now that I've been around people like that, I certainly need to be up to that level, right? So that's awesome, man. I just think that that. So real quick, before we jump in, we always do a read of the week. Week 1, we did Relentless by Tim Grover. I think it was one of the first weeks we did one. We're going to kind of continue on. This is Winning by Tim Grover. This is a continuation of Relentless. For those of you who don't know Tim, he was the trainer, I guess you could call it, of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and some other guys, Dwayne Wade. But he, more than a trainer, he was a mental coach to them guys. He was more just a mentor to them, in my opinion. But Tim's phenomenal. You guys see me share his stuff a lot on Instagram and Facebook. So read that book. He's got a different level of thinking. And even if you can take a couple things from these kind of books, I think you're in a better place. So, Coach, so share a bit about yourself and your journey with us.
Man, well, I'm Coach Poe. Everybody calls me as Poe. That's not my name. I got names under the sun. Everybody calls me as Poe. And man, I'm from Seneca, South Carolina. For people that don't know, that's literally kitty corner next to Clemson. So most of the time I say Clemson, but like I meet so many people that think Clemson's in Alabama, and I'm like, it's all right. It's all right. But no, so I'm from there, man, born and raised. And then so my journey, from there was just I played high school ball, I played high school football, and then a little bit of basketball, just kind of rec league stuff, and I did track. But football was always my first love. I mean, I've been playing football since I was like 6. And just being down south, man, it's faith, football, and family. Like
it's a way of life.
So it's those 3, bro. The 3 F's, man. That's all we know, man. And it's definitely brought me to where I am today. Played college football down at Newberry College. Shout out Newberry. Just went back to back on their conference championships.
Big time.
So big time stuff, man. And love what Coach Knight's doing down there. Always try to catch in.
And this is all down in Seneca still?
Newberry's in Newberry, South Carolina. So that's about hour and 30 away from Seneca.
So still not too far.
No, I wasn't too far, but I loved being able to get out.
That makes sense.
As you know, like as it goes on, like environment, I love new environments, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I love to see now that I found someone that also loves that, and just seeing the world. Like life's too short, bro.
Man,
life's too short. You gotta get out of your environment. Like mom and dad will be there.
I agree with that.
And I'm big on that.
Kids listen to that too. Student athletes, young people at home that tune in. That's a big piece of advice. Don't be scared to go experience things, and don't wait, man. No. Don't wait, because too many people try to wait, and then either so many things happen in life, or health catches up, or it's just so many different factors. So you got, there's like no perfect time to experience things. You got to go.
If you want to do it, like get a plan together, figure it out to get there, man, because like you got to experience as much as you can. And like those experiences trickle down to like when you start having kids, and like, then you can go back and show your kids your lifestyle and what you've done. And, just having new experiences, man, especially like a place like Michigan. Like I haven't even got the chance to experience Michigan. Like I haven't been up north yet, like to the UP, but like, like there's so much to do here.
Yeah.
Like, and where I'm from, like there's truly only 3 main cities in the entire state. Everything else is just township, so really? Like experiencing coming up here, like day one, I'm just driving through, I'm seeing all these big houses. There's a 4 or 5 lane highway. I'm like, okay, this is sweet. And there's just keep expanding on those experiences, man. Is everything.
When did you come up here?
Literally, like I graduated early from college, and then like 5 days later after graduation, me and Brooke drove, flew down, and I just drove all the way up here. It was like 11 hours.
Hold on, I got to ask real quick. So for those of you who don't know, that shout out to Coach Brooke at Allen Park Volleyball. She's phenomenal person, phenomenal coach. We're actually starting on Tuesday back with our training. I'm pumped. I'm fired up.
Amen.
But so you and Brooke met down south?
No. So
okay. I was just curious. Was that
no, man? No. So how this wildest story, dude. Like everybody, they may have their whatever ways of like meeting someone, but we have very unique is actually YouTube. So my buddy Kennard, he's actually in my wedding coming up here soon. He's a graphic design major. He actually is a head graphic designer for the state of South Carolina. So he's like in the government graphic design. Wow. Yeah. Big time guy in graphic design and media. We ended up doing a Hard Knocks like series because like everybody loves Hard Knocks.
Everybody.
So we ended up doing it. We ended up doing it that entire season. We actually won our first conference championship, went 10-2. Amazing year, like the first conference championship in 10 years.
That's
so
awesome.
Like it all worked out somehow, some way. Yeah. And then so from there, like Brooke was getting recruited by my college, and looking through recruiting, as you're a high school kid, the first thing you're gonna do is go to YouTube. Like for me, the reason why I started doing that, because when you're Googling and Instagram and looking at this school, you go to YouTube and stuff. And I was like, we need to liven up our college. And so like I'm always thinking of the next idea, how to advance wherever I'm at. Like
you
what
are, you're an innovator, builder.
Like
definitely.
So
it's that Dion effect. We talk about Dion a lot on the show, but that's what I like most about Dion. I like the fact that he's just I don't know if the guy's the best football coach in the world, to be honest, but he's a builder and an impactor, and I think he works to get better at the areas he's not good at.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he went. I think that's why he's so good.
For sure.
Because he's like, he knows how to build a program, man. They're going to be good in Colorado. I don't know if it's this year, but they're going to be fine, man. He's got too many good coaches, too.
They're going to be good. They're going to get kids. Kids want to levitate, too. If it's new, it's fresh, and it looks good. Like, a lot of kids want to levitate to it. And, like, even, like, for me, in my mindset, if I see something I can be a part, like, those kids are probably thinking, like, if we all get together, we could bring another natty or a Pac-12 championship to Colorado, and that's us. Like, we built that. So, with all that being said, like she was YouTubing and found me, and then was interested in that. Obviously, she was coming down for her official visit, and then just from there, just like everything was just great from there, man. And
that's awesome.
Now we're here, about to get married.
And then you guys came up here.
Yeah,
so why up here? Why Michigan?
She just wasn't really feeling like all the the visits and everything that she had in the offers and stuff. She ended up committing to a school in Ohio. After a couple of days, she just realized it just wasn't for her. So she ended up going to Eastern, which is cheaper route.
Right.
And that's where she fell in love with.
To Eastern Michigan?
Yep.
A shout out to the Eagles, Eastern Michigan. We just went out there on Friday and watched the spring game. They had a good spring game. It was more important than the football part of it, though. Great crowd out there. The things they're doing to elevate the program, because we need it. I said it. I actually text you. I said it's beautiful if, all the levels of football around here, everybody does well. We want Eastern to do well, and at least for the fact that some of our kids in the area go there. We want them kids to do well. You know what I mean? We want all kids to do well, but especially them guys that are close to our hearts. We want them guys to succeed, and some of them do end up at Eastern. So
no doubt.
But that's awesome. So y'all ended up coming up here.
Yeah, man. And then from there, it's just I've been grinding ever since I came up here, man.
How long before you got into coaching when you got up here?
Took me. So I got here January of 18, and I started this next year, because when I first came up here, my aspirations, just like every kid, was go to the league. Right. So I had 2 CFL tryouts.
When you came up here,
that
was still the journey.
That was still the journey. I had 2 CFL tryouts. Like, I came up here in January, and then so this time of that year, tried out for the Rough Riders, and then the Toronto Argonauts. So had those set up. Didn't go as well. It's hard to make the CFL, man. Like, if you're a defensive tackle, like if you're a bigger dude in the CFL, because the field's so much longer than our football. Like, I had like my guy I went to school with, he played receiver in college, 6'5", 205. And then I look about 3 years later, he's all CFL defensive end. He can run. He was a 4'5", 6'5", 205. And they put 20 pounds on him, and he can move. That feels longer, so you got to be able to move. Yeah. And they only had 3 downs in the CFL.
I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's a little bit different football in the CFL. It's a different ball game.
You only got 3 downs.
Yeah,
like definitely. It's usually run, pass, or 3 passes. Right. So like, you got to be able to go, and it's got to be really fast. So then I was like, okay, what's my niche? Coaching found me. I didn't find coaching. Like, I didn't want to be a football coach. Like, I loved football. Like, yes, it was everything in my heart. That's what made me who I am, and still to this day. But like, coaching found me. I ended up looking for a job. I needed some money. Like, I wasn't getting any cash flow. So I ended up sub teaching. That was good money to get every day. You got like $125 a day at Lincoln Park High School. Knew nothing about Lincoln Park. Knew really anything about downriver football.
Or downriver schools, kids,
in general. I just walk in day one and just be myself. But like, the impacts that I made as a sub teacher, and now I am a high school teacher, like seeing what I can do as a teacher in a classroom, because there's not many people that look like me in a classroom. So that really impacted me a lot, to know like I'm doing something special.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah. So like, just being around kids and helping kids. And I did a lot at Lincoln Park, and really built on a lot of things. And then from Lincoln Park to now Concordia is crazy. Like, it really is.
And for those who don't know, we coached together during probably like the craziest, most dysfunctional football season ever in the COVID year at Romulus. We went through I spent, I think, 3.5 years there, Coach Poe was there for a while, and that COVID year was, we spent that fun year together, that challenging, confusing, all types of crazy stuff. And then on to Concordia. So we're actually going to, while we're on this subject, we're going to skip around a little bit here, because this was one of my questions. What's the biggest difference to you then from like coaching at Lincoln Park, coaching now at Romulus, and then you were at
Brighton.
You were at Brighton after Romulus, right? Yeah. Okay. So what out of those, you've had experience now, just for those people watching, to give them a little background, that's kind of 3 different scenarios, and school situations,
3 totally different.
So you got a lot of experience as far as high school coaching quick.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference to you between those and going to the college level this year? Like, what do you find was like the biggest adjustment you had to make, or the biggest difference?
The biggest difference for me, or just in general?
Either one. I mean, if just whatever you found
Yeah.
after year one, just going, man, that was a lot different than high school. Like that was
The
challenging.
biggest difference was the type of kids. Like these are grown men. Like these
Okay.
kids, like we had a dude last year that was my age. Like he was 27 years old. Like this is
That's legit.
it's a different ball game. I don't have to
Yeah,
worry.
man.
I don't have to worry about 14, 15, 16, 17. And then
Man,
there's no parents. I don't got to worry about parents. Like you're in college.
it's
Like
direct with them.
you make it's gonna make you or break you. And like that was just the biggest thing for me was like I don't have to worry about the other stuff. It's like it's just all football. It's all football. Like I don't have to do all the recruiting stuff. And I don't you remember like how much like recruiting is probably why I'm in college right now.
Yeah.
Like so
It's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
Man. That's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
Especially commitment to the kids. That's a lot to
Yeah.
It is. That's a ton. Because now I'm starting to help here get those things done. And I'm like, I text you for advice because I'm like, man, some of this stuff is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get this done? How do I do this?
Yeah,
You know, you're kind of like my go-to. Like,
Yeah.
how can I help this kid get here? You know, what do we do in this situation?
I stayed up countless nights, 1 or 2 in the morning, like trying to figure out how do I connect with this person? How do I get this kid here? What's the next step? And dude, like still, like even though I'm coaching college, like I from schools, like especially like Brighton, like shout out Coach Lemons, like love him to death, like
Big
for what
time.
he did for me. And like even like those kids are still and families are still like, hey, like what do you think about this? Like, how do I set up my Twitter?
Right.
How do I do this? Like,
Right.
that's never going to leave.
100%.
Just, I don't care if I'm coaching for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, that's not going to leave me.
Right.
You know, like to help families is why I believe I'm here.
I
Like
love
to
that.
help families and because the recruiting process and to get your son or daughter like where they want to be and see their dreams come true, stressful, especially if you ain't never been there before.
People will like poke at this saying sometimes, but there's a saying, and those of you, I actually heard it. I think it was Last Chance You with Coach Jason Brown, if you remember the crazy season with him or two.
Yeah.
But he said like a coach's job at the end of the day is to help kids get them where they can't get themselves alone.
For sure.
And some people I know don't really like the way that's worded or whatever, but that's the truth. Like a kid can't just get himself recruited on his own. He needs the contacts, the resource. He needs the help. He needs the people to line him up at practice, get him in the right motions. And
you can be 6'5", 230 and still not become a 4-star. It's a lot of individual stuff.
100%.
A lot of people that know people that there's so many avenues to get to where you want to get to.
And I've seen it. We've seen it both sides. We've seen kids that, man, I don't know. We've seen kids that were in necessarily I don't want to say a bad place, but kind of a bad place, man. And they were able to go somewhere great. And then I was at the center the other day here in Monroe, the rec center, and I'm down there and I'm asking about a few guys with one of my clients because actually one of my clients is coming to play basketball at Concordia next year. Shout out to Gabe. And he was on the show a couple weeks ago, but Gabe, I'm asking him like, what's the deal with this guy? Some of these guys, I'm like, they are crazy good. And he's like, yeah, real talented, but this didn't work out. That happened. This didn't work out. That. And I'm like, that's why we are an important role, man. That's why you are such an important role because the more kids we get to where they're trying to go and steer them the right way, the better the world is, right? I mean, the better they are, the better their life experience is, the better the world is.
No, the biggest part for me is why it goes so hard for families and like the kids, because if they know this now, they can hand it down to somebody else.
Man.
So like the impact I made, like I'm giving you all the tools. I'm giving you all the tools you need to like get to wherever you want to get to. It's obviously up to you to make it happen, build a house, but like then you can go give those tools to somebody else. And they're gonna build another house,
and then eventually we got a bunch of houses built.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
and
a
then
village. It takes a village.
Then the world's a better place, man. The more villages you build like that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome. So would you say that was just out of curiosity? Would you say that was more difficult? Is it more difficult to deal with the parents and that, or is it more difficult to deal with the grown men type of deal?
I don't think either is difficult. I think for me personally, it was difficult because I wasn't so involved in everything. I wasn't doing like I wasn't doing this recruiting and these showcases and taking them, all this stuff. I wasn't doing all that.
So
now it's
used to that.
Yeah, getting used to that was the hardest part.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Just knowing it's just all football.
Yeah,
like it's just all football right now. Like I still do some, and you know, I wouldn't say difficult, but another difference that I love is, like I said, recruiting is my thing. Now I get to bless families and bless kids with an opportunity to go to college ball. Like I'm not day in like 2 a.m. Hey coach, like can you evaluate my kid? Like now it's like, hey, come out here. Let's talk.
Practice.
Like I can bless families now.
That's awesome.
And that's the best part. I honestly say about college for me right now is just like the recruiting aspect. I have a kid up here right now with his dad who's from my hometown. Like
that.
Seneca, South Carolina, Ann Arbor is 12 hours. Like him and his dad got on a plane, like and came up here. He loves every second of it. Like it's, it's way more than just the offer and the commitment for me from those kids. Like I'm deep in South Carolina because like that opens a new door.
100%.
Like
for the kids in different areas and for Concordia. It's it opens the two-way door for both.
For sure.
It potentially opens an area where now different schools or that school down there looks at Concordia. Because Donovan, shout out to Donovan Johnson, who was on last week, and he said that when he's not from here, he's from Cleveland. When he came up here, Concordia felt like home. And I think Concordia is really the kind of place where, and there's other schools like this, but in this instance, Concordia is really a place where I think once you get kids on campus and once you kind of show them the experience and the people, it's hard, man. It's hard for a kid to like not want to be a part of that.
And I think
because it's a beautiful thing, unless their thing is like, well, I think I can go D1 or D2 or something like that. But if it's not, I mean, if they're borderline guys or that's just a hard place to like turn down.
The big thing, like my big pitch, I guess you can say, is like if you go to any NAIA D3, and you know what, honestly, 80% of Division II schools, none of them have what we have in Ann Arbor.
That's true.
Like
that's 100%
true.
Like
we share Ann Arbor with U of M. Like there's no like I took him and his dad out. We were downtown with the Hopcat, and like the guys were kind of just like levitating to me. I got a couple kids that are at U of M. I told them to come out. Like we share it. Like it's ours.
Love that.
And like you go
I've heard that too.
You go to another D2 private D2 or whatever. Like it's middle of nowhere.
There was somebody told me there was maybe it was Donovan that brought it up last week. Somebody brought it up. There was a post that was like best football cities in America. And Ann Arbor was on there, and it had the Concordia, had the bird, and it had logo, and it had the U of M Block M. And I was like, that's incredible that and then you got Eastern, which is 15 minutes down the road.
Barely that.
I was saying maybe not even 15 minutes. So it's crazy. We got like high quality football all over right here for us, which we're going to talk about the North kind of versus the South football discussion. We're going to get into that here in a minute. Real quick though, let's continue on the Concordia subject for just a minute. I love Concordia, man. I've been going there for since I started coaching. We've been taking kids just to spring practices, visits, whatever. Last year there was big expectations, right, for everybody. And we talked to Donovan. We asked him the similar question last week. We're going to ask you, how do you, when you have such expectations, how do you handle it? Kind of keeping yourself checked in, keeping the players checked in. How did you handle it when things weren't going the way you guys thought they would?
I think a lot of it weeded itself out. I think a lot of the negativity really weeded itself out, and the guys weeded it out themselves, especially somebody like Don. Like Don, he's very special.
Big time.
He was a special player, and he had a special like circumstance, and like they didn't lose much at all. Like a lot of those guys, that was their first time being in a losing situation in a 100%. Losing season. And like you said, the expectations were so high. Like the whole time it was like national championship.
I was going to say to win it. That was it, to win it.
That was the only
they were as
goal.
High as they could be.
That was the only goal, was to win a national championship. And then like we got smacked in the face, and it's like we got to start back over from ground zero. And like a lot of kids really weeded out the negativity in the room. And, if you didn't like it, you left. And like we made sure to start over. Like we had to start over. And
I think when you have a season like that, you have to a little bit. You got to kind of like you got to kind of look under the hood of the car, so to speak, and kind of see what's going on, right? And get rid of the broken parts that ain't working and replace them with some new parts.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's interesting. I think it'll be fun to watch you guys this year because now I want to know how like what I know losing sucks, all
Yeah.
right, but like I think you learn more as a person about
Yeah.
yourself as a team program.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to be more fun for me now, just as a fan of you guys, is watching how you guys respond to that.
Yeah.
Like I honestly don't give a shit that it happened.
Yeah.
Everybody, like man, we've been through losing seasons at Romulus. I went through a bad. I've been through 0-9 at different school.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, man. Like, shoot, we went through a season last year. We were 6-4, but if it wasn't for some of our own mistakes, some bad luck injuries,
Yeah.
season could have went 9-1.
Yeah,
Could have
for
been a
sure.
whole different things happen. But
Yeah.
I think what I'm most excited for is to see how you guys come and respond this year.
Yeah.
And I know you can't say much, but I will say this. I know you guys are at spring practice right now. A
Yep.
lot of schools are out at spring practice. The
Yep.
spring game, is that open to the public?
That's open to the public. All practices are open to the public.
Okay.
All you got to do, I mean,
And they post this stuff on
Yeah,
Twitter, guys.
yeah.
And Coach Poe has posted it.
Yeah.
Shoot, I've shared it on my
Yeah,
story a
yeah.
couple times. But that's good football.
yeah.
From what I've heard, you guys, and I can't say, a whole lot, but from what I've heard, you guys look pretty good. You guys look, the energy looks good.
The energy is a lot different because they got a sour
which is
taste in their
important.
mouth.
They're pissed.
They got a sour taste in their mouth because, like you said, like
That excites me. I want
Like,
to see
yeah.
what happens when you get hit.
yeah,
Like
we had our first full pad practice on Saturday, and like the energy, they were chirping at each other from practice
I
1 to
love it.
5 to get there. And we're trying to keep our guys safe and like healthy right now. Like we're kind of just
100%.
thud tempo because
Yep.
our spring game's gonna be full tilt, full go. Like we're
Really?
just gonna unleash them and like we're gonna see who
Shout out
wants
to
to play.
Concordia for
But-
not doing some boring, terrible. Let's run some drills that they
Yeah.
ran in youth football.
Yeah.
And I watched some D1 schools, and I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, man. We can't let the kids get after it
Defense
once.
starts 24-0 or
It's
whatever.
24
yeah.
nothing, man. Hugh Freeze is ending on a tie. Hugh Freeze, no shout out for you today. That's terrible. Don't do that. Ending on a tie, man. On TV, I'm like,
Hey, man.
bro, if you don't have these field goal kickers go like, some hockey stuff where the field
Yeah.
goal kickers kick until somebody wins,
Yeah,
like
something fun.
something cool, man.
Yeah,
Make
we're-
it cool for the crowd and the kids,
Yeah.
So, but
We're going
Man,
full tilt, man.
I can't wait. We're coming up to the spring game. Guys, if you want to join us, let us know. A bunch of us will be up there at the spring game
Yeah. That'll be on April 30th at 2:00.
at 2 p.m.
Sunday at 2:00.
Yep. So we'll be up there in Ann Arbor. Great campus, great football
Yeah,
facility there. It's
yeah.
beautiful. So let's dive into some different things, man.
Okay.
We got you. So one thing I've always wanted to talk to you about this. We have before.
Yeah.
But tell us about football in the South. What makes you guys different? What makes it superior? Like, why is there this kind of stigma, which is earned? It's not really a stigma, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of earned.
Yeah.
Or what do they say? It means more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is it? Just everybody says the weather. That's everybody's go-to.
For sure.
You know firsthand. Is it just the weather? What is it?
No, man. It's like the exposure. It's the exposure that we have from like from the camps, from the visits. I would say the number one factor is spring ball. The number one factor is we got spring ball. Like my high school and like most high schools, and I think Florida already started like May. Once May comes around, it's spring football. Like it's no different. We treat it just like college. Like, and then it's spring practice and stuff. The colleges are done. So you know where they're going? They're gonna go watch us.
Right.
Like we're like
100%.
every other day. There's like when I was in school, like Dabo was there. Like, and then it'd be somebody from South Carolina State or like
At you guys
at practice.
at Newberry.
At practice. No, this is in high school.
Oh, in high school.
In high
Still
school.
watching your practice.
Yeah, oh yeah, every day. Especially if you got a dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
so let's like take for example, like Belleville or MLK. Like if there was spring ball, like those kids would
They
get
would have
so
people
much.
out
You'll
there.
get so much exposure, especially the guys like that aren't Bryce Underwood or that aren't Dante Moore. Like you're gonna get so much exposure, but like here you're waiting until August to hit someone. You got 2 weeks to figure it out.
You're looking at guys like that left tackle that can improve his rank, and certain guys that like,
yeah.
the quarterback can always. I mean,
Yeah, but he's gonna bring people out.
yeah, man.
Like people are gonna come watch. There's gonna be a college every other day, and so like that was a big thing for us. Was like we got that exposure. That's that's why we see so many 4 or 5 stars, all that. But like we're battle tested and ready by June. You know your depth chart. You know who can hit, who can't. Like you got these 9th and 10th graders that are ready to go.
Definitely.
And then when we roll into July, when we start, we don't start in August. We start in July. down
Games?
there, like practice, and then the games and stuff. Like the first week of August is scrimmages. You know what I mean?
Damn,
Like
so you guys
full
are
pad.
so you
Like we're
guys
full.
are essentially a month ahead.
Oh yeah, like that was all. That's a
It's
big.
essentially a month
That was a big
ahead.
difference. When I went to Lincoln Park, shout out to Brian Ambrose. He was a baseball coach and he got the football job when I got there. He was like, "Hey, dude, I want you to coach D line and do all this." I was like, "All right, cool. When spring ball start?" He was like, "What spring ball?" I'm like, "This, mind you, I'm just getting fresh out of high school and college." I'm like, "What do you mean? We're spring ball?" So like, when do they put on pads? He's like, second week of August. I'm like, dude, they ain't got no time to become a dog. Like, you got to become a dog here, which I respect Michigan high school football players. If they're dogs, like they prepared themselves in 2 weeks. Like the 7-on-7s and all that's cool and all, but like,
man, there's a lot missing out of 7-on-7s.
Yeah.
Even like being like, I've been a linebacker coach. Like that's the one steady thing I've done no matter what every year of my coaching career.
Yeah.
And I'm like, even I hate doing it because linebackers won't. Just one example, linebackers won't take a read step at all.
Yeah.
They'll just drop. They won't. And really, like, yeah, I get it because they know it's going to be a freaking pass, so they're never gonna read step like they potentially might come downhill, right?
Yeah.
They're always just going to drop into a pass coverage, or it's just little things like that, man, where it's like it's sloppy. It's completely sloppy. There's some of those things I think take the game and make it kind of hard to.
For sure.
I don't know, man. It's good for what it's there for. It's good for timing. It's good for spacing. It's good to get the guys out on a 70-degree day, 75-degree day, and let them, chirp and go at it a little bit and compete. But I also think, like, man, that was actually a question on our so we always do like a local sports section or like some kind of community sports, and it's like that was my question today was, how would spring practice help in Michigan and how could we do it?
It's preparation and exposure, dog. Like, you see, I did that showcase and then MSSSA, they kind of copied me, but it's all right.
Hey,
so just so people know.
Did you see that?
So people know I'm the one.
Hey, the heat they were taking, man.
Hey, man.
The heat they were taking.
Hey,
every football coach on my Facebook, and trust me, there's a lot of them. Every coach shared that and has some kind of emoji or the Kevin Hart face.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, are y'all kidding me right now?
What's crazy about that? I had 4 days to prepare that whole thing, and that was my baby because man, like no one.
You did a great job on that.
No one believed I can get all those schools, and I did. And it's phenomenal. Great to see that MSSSA is like doing this and like getting it together, but like I think every team should be able to do their own.
I was gonna say though, so when we talk about how we do it, we talking like 10? We talking about 10 practices throughout a 2-month stretch.
Spring ball goes.
Yeah, how would you do it?
Yeah, I would.
This is a deep topic right now because
I would do like 10 to 12. And then including a spring game.
What
whatever.
About a spring game?
You would have, the spring game for us was it's just like in high school. I mean, just like in college, it was so fun because like our coaches drafted teams. And so you're sitting here in high school, that's everything. You're the first round pick in the draft. Like,
come on.
You're on the.
Why are we not doing this for our kids?
Yeah.
I hope anybody listens that has contact to, the Michigan High School Football Association.
It's too boring. It's too boring.
Come on, man.
It's too boring. Like, you can do like the showcase and stuff is cool, but like I want to see somebody hit somebody. Like, I can 100%. Evaluate and I can watch him do all this 4-on-1s and all this. That doesn't tell me anything. Like, can he ball? Like, can he come downhill and hit somebody? Can he break away and give me 20, 30 yard run? Like all that. Like, you can only do that with pads on.
I would argue to people too that kids would actually have less injuries if we had spring ball.
You're more prepared. Like, the preparation part is.
I think you just have a little more live kind of practice action, game action on how to tackle. Yep. I think kids would be more prone to show up to off-season workouts if they knew 100%. Shit, man, spring ball is coming. 100%. I got to stay in shape for spring ball. Because a lot of guys will wait all winter. They'll go to basketball practice. They'll kind of sit out of football lifts. I know at a few schools now I've ran into this where they'll all show up in like spring, summer. And I'm like, you too late lifting. This was supposed to happen in the winter.
You know what it really eliminates is that kid that comes up the second week of August that's out of shape and overweight. Because you know where he was from. You haven't seen him since October or November.
He's been hiding.
The whole time.
Playing Fortnite and hiding, man.
Then like, all right, spring ball, football's coming. It's fall. Like, you eliminate all that because like the spring aspect is, that's the depth chart. Like you're setting the depth chart right there. And like you go in August 8th, August 9th, or whatever, like, all right, I'm starting, but like your spot's not held. It's just like,
100%.
it's just everything that like
Yep.
college we done, and they make sure that they do. Even down there, like kids are transferring. Like it's like a transfer portal now down south, and like most of us, like I see like kids going all over the place, like I am now transferring to this school on Twitter
Right
and all
on
this stuff.
Twitter.
I'm like, all right.
Some of them doing it before they even transfer.
Before they even do it, yeah.
some of them ain't even signed, bro.
Hey, some of them not enrolled at all. But like, it's just like it prepares you. I think like the South and West Coast, Cali does a good job too. Cali's in their own different world, like
Texas,
like Texas as well. Like
obviously is big on high school.
Yeah, they got NIL in high school now, and like
which is absolute nuts to me.
But it prepares you.
But I knew it was going to happen too. I hate to say it, but when something hits college, well, some things this is good, some not. But when anything that hits college hits high school in some form somewhere,
for sure,
no matter what, NIL, transfer, all that stuff eventually is going to hit high school in some form of regard in some places. Maybe not every school.
Yeah.
Like, I love my boys out at Erie Mason, but, we're not signing NIL deals here in Michigan or here. But like you said, down in Texas, Cali, some of them schools, it's wild.
It's, like you're getting 20, 30,000 people at a high school football game down there. It's just that it's just crazy. Different. It's different. And
plus,
go ahead.
No, finish.
I think like the key is preparation. Like you're prepared for big stadium crowds. You're prepared for big time games in that aspect. Like recruiting, you're very much prepared for.
Right, ready
for. And preparation is why I've been since I got here. Like Michigan needs spring ball in some aspect.
It's terrible, man, that we don't.
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm like, why don't we use the spring game as a fundraiser? Like, why
we
not?
We had bounce house.
Why not?
Local people on the grill, food trucks. Yep.
And you call 10 local businesses and tell them that you're doing a spring game, and they don't even care. Half of them, and I might be, saying too much, but half of them don't even care if they get paid to be there. They'll be there on their own behalf just to help the kids, man.
Yep.
Just so they can be a part of something cool. I think it's honestly the reason I bring it up, to be honest with you, is because I know it's like a hot topic, and Ohio is talking about it right now. Again, I just saw an article from a couple different places actually about how Ohio is looking to have another meeting soon about that same issue. And I'm like, man, if Ohio doesn't and we don't follow suit and get this done, I'm going to be so mad. Come on, man. Why football? I've always said football is underrated in Michigan. That's kind of been my thing throughout the years.
For sure.
We're not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Even Dante, I love Dante more, man. I think the kid's a baller.
Yeah.
And even him, I'm like, we hear Arch. I listen to
he's
college
better
football.
Than Arch.
He's better than Arch.
Yeah, for sure.
And I listen to college football podcasts daily.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I'm like, there's so many guys you hear about, but they very rarely talk about him. And if they do, it'll be like, oh, is he going to help this coach out, or is he going to do? It's very like short, and it's about the coach. I'm like, man, I feel like we just get slept on. But to what we just talked about, to that point, man, we could be a lot better too.
For sure.
I feel like we could kill it here.
Yeah,
honestly,
I love how you said that about Dante. Like Bryce Underwood's the number one player in 2025.
We don't.
He's not all over the place like Arch was in his sophomore, or like whoever else.
And
like, you know what I mean?
Incredible football player.
Yeah, amazing.
The only thing I've heard anything about him is that Michigan might be interested on a Michigan talk radio.
For sure.
So
you don't see
nothing
him all
on
over
ESPN or nothing. It wasn't even that he wanted to go there. It was Michigan should try to get him because, he's Belleville's quarterback and he's really good.
For sure. I'm 100% with you on what you're saying.
But he's definitely good. But yeah, man, I love those opinions. Do you think, let me ask you this then to piggyback off of this. Do you think the gap will ever be bridged between football here and down there, or no? You think it's inevitable? It's just over, too far beat.
I think knowing that NIL door is opening down there, I don't see that happening up here.
Catching up.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
That makes sense.
It'll be tough. It'll get better. I think if spring ball starts, it'll get better just for the sake of the kids and the football quality and everything in between. But that gap's huge. That's a huge gap.
It is, man.
Yeah,
it's big. I just talked to one of my kids. He was he went on vacation and he crossed through. He was in Louisiana,
Yeah.
and I think they passed by like LSU and
Yeah.
Alabama and
Yeah.
going to restaurants and stuff. And it's a different way of living. Even me, I've been around Rocky Top quite a few times, man,
Yeah.
and I'm like, these Tennessee fans are nuts. Even
Yeah.
Kentucky fans. I'm like,
Yeah.
no offense, Kentucky, but you guys weren't even good for like how many years?
Yeah.
Y'all were like
For sure.
doormat, and I'm like, man, y'all walk around here like this is life, you know.
Yeah.
But it's crazy down there, and I just wonder, I don't think it ever will either, to be honest. I think it's just, especially like you said, places like Texas, man, and Cali, and it's just so deeply rooted down
Mhm.
there that
Mhm.
that's life, you
Mhm.
know. And I think people do more to just kind of win down there. I think they put more time in. I
I
think
think
it's
people do more for the programs. Like you watch Friday Night Lights where it's like
big time.
stuff is shut down and like
The
and you see that
whole
and you see
city.
that here. Brighton was a school like that as well, like when the whole city and stuff will shut down, but like it's like you're not every city isn't
Right.
like that. You know, every city isn't like that, especially in Michigan, but like every single city was
Yep.
like shut down. And it's just you on the highway if you're on a Friday night. There's nothing going on. Like,
You're at the game.
yeah.
You're supposed to
Or
be
you're
there
at work listening on the
to the
radio. Like,
game.
yeah, like on the radio. Like high school football is not broadcasted here barely, like that was one thing. Like my dad to this day, like I'll call my dad on a Friday night in fall. He's listening to his high school or my high school on the radio still.
That's awesome.
Like, like
Yeah.
every team has their own radio station.
I try to tell people that, like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
I try to tell people that, like, when you go watch like Friday Night Lights, like, man, it's not that fabricated. Like that stuff's real. Like
Yeah,
that's really what it looks like
That's
in
how
the
it is.
city.
Yeah, that's how
Because
it
people
is.
think it's like a movie. I'm like, dude,
No,
it
that's how
is.
it
But I'm
is.
telling you,
That's how it
like,
is.
I've spoke to a lot of coaches. My aunt lives down in Texas,
Yeah.
and lives in a small town. And I talked to a coach that told me at one point he was fired down there for going like 7-2.
Yeah,
It
no
ain't
doubt.
enough.
No doubt.
7-2 ain't enough.
No doubt.
You were expected to go
You
undefeated.
you got an
And
expectation. Like
that was it. And he had from what I understand, he had a pretty good roster and whatnot.
yeah,
But he was
it just
supposed to win
wasn't.
the whole thing.
Yeah, if you don't get a
And
state title or at least get
it's
close,
crazy,
it's
man.
not.
And I'm like 7-2 get you
Get you fired.
fired down
Get you
there.
fired.
That's the type of difference it is. And up here, that type of stuff ain't happening too
Yeah.
often, man. So coach, let's ask you a little bit about kind of your future, man. What do you think coaching looks like for you in 10 years? Where are you trying to go out of this thing?
In 10 years, man, for me, man, I would just love to find anywhere that I can coach full time. Like right now, I'm part time at Concordia. For those that don't know, I'm full time. I'm a special education teacher
Okay.
at Lincoln High
Shout
School.
out to you and what you do. That's big
At
time.
Lincoln High School. So as I'm all about kids
At Lincoln Park still?
at Lincoln.
Oh, at Lincoln.
in Ipsy.
I would say Ipsy Lincoln.
Yeah,
Okay. Got you.
So I'm doing that. 10 years, man. I'd love to be at some program full time. I mean, everybody's dream is the NFL, but like I don't even know if I got NFL dreams like that. I just love that college atmosphere, everything about it, what you can do for a kid in college. Like you're gonna talk about grown men, you're really dealing with grown men in the NFL.
Man.
Like they might fight you
right in the locker room.
they might fight you in the locker room. I'm not trying to get in Aaron Donald's face. Like like he'd be so.
Hey, I'm telling you, there's some assistant coaches who have came up under fired on the thing, and they don't tell you that it was because of that.
Yeah.
But some of them assistant coaches that you see and you're like, why they fire the quarterback coach, man? The quarterback's been playing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He got in the wrong person's face in the locker room, and it was over.
Yeah.
Over. Co-OC gone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they scoring 35 a game.
Yeah. And it's not really, and money's not truly the value, but if I valued money, college would be better too, which is crazy. Like I remember I was talking to one of the teachers at my school, and she was like, I always thought you go to the NFL, that's the highest level. Like if you're a coach, they're getting paid the most. I'm like, no.
Not what you would think.
No, like they're not touching Nick Sabans and the Dabos and like they're, that's where you want to go to. And I think for any like young coach like that wants those dreams, I got a real good piece of advice from a guy that Jordan Thompson, he's a receiver coach at the University of Miami. He was like, he wants to go to the NFL and coach. Someone told him like with college and NFL, it's what you value. So if you value your time, go to NFL because you get all the time in the world.
It's
to
different.
you get all the time in the world with your family
Yeah.
and all that. But if you value money, you better get P5. Like P5 is your goal.
Go there.
That's your goal. You're not gonna get all the time with your family and all that stuff you do in college. So that's something you got to know in the back end. Like you better have your wife or girlfriend or whoever better be a football fan to death and
Yeah.
really be with it to be with you when it's in college. And I mean, thank God I got Brooke, who's also a coach, so that kind of works out,
She understands
Yeah,
the grind.
she understands. Like I'm on the, dude. I love using the term, dude. I'm a coach's husband. Like
Yeah.
for real, you don't hear that all the
100%.
time. You don't hear it all the time, and it's
Oh,
so
we're proud
sweet.
though, man.
Yeah,
She's a heck of a coach too. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely. No, but that helps so much because she knows the grind
Yeah.
that you have to go through,
Yeah.
right? And she knows the grind that she's going through.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
man, I didn't know. If you want the truth, we can just talk this for a second, but I didn't know volleyball was that intense and crazy,
Dude.
man. They put in a lot of
And
time, a lot of work, and
yeah.
it's wild energy.
And
I
the
was
way she
like,
coaches makes it
whoa,
12 times intense.
it's awesome though, man,
Yeah.
because I'm fueled by that, and I'm that kind of coach.
Yeah.
So, if she was the opposite, she may be like, the tone in there,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
fired up in there, man. And
Yeah.
it works because she's fired up and the girls are fired up.
Yeah,
And it's
they
like,
feed off of her for sure.
it's crazy. I feel like I've always said this, and no, this is no disrespect to my football guys. I love y'all boys. It's so easy to go coach our like what we'll call it our sports performance sessions,
Yeah.
right? Our weight room session sports.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go coach those because they come with focus and energy, and it's all just like straight zoned in, locked in, and the energy. And I'm not talking about like just doing what you're supposed to. Like they're genuinely cheering each other on.
Yeah.
When they compete, like they go at it. I'm like, man, y'all really cheer for each other and then really just go at it. And that's how it should be. You should be able to absolutely pull the best out of each other in practice and then go whoop on the other team that's wearing the other jersey.
No doubt.
And she does a great job of that, great energy. But back to what we were saying, it does make it a lot easier to kind of understand.
Yeah.
So, Coach, we got to ask you a couple more questions before we wrap this up.
For sure.
This one's important. We got a lot of kids listening to this. A lot of kids tune into this. We got a lot of kids trying to get recruited. Our area in particular here in Monroe County, as I came back here to coach, I've always said that part of the reason I left Romulus and came back here was I wanted to not just elevate where I went to high school, but I wanted to elevate this community. And I wanted to elevate them in a way through my coaching, through my sports performance mentorship, through just knowing coaches at different places and maybe being able to say, hey, here's this kid's Twitter, no matter what sport it is. Any way we can help, right, to help the kids here elevate and get recruited. This is something that we need to do better here. We have more kids that could get out of here. As I just mentioned at the center the other day, I saw 4 kids that should have played a college sport and they haven't, right? So we're trying to fix that.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you can give to a young student athlete trying to get recruited or get an offer?
Create meaningful relationships with college coaches.
Meaningful is the key word.
Meaningful is key. Just sliding in their DMs or sliding on their posts, hey, coach, check me out. Like they're not. If you think that you're going on Garrett Riley's post and he is paying you any attention, he is not. It is finding the schools that are realistic. I tell kids all the time,
be realistic.
Give me your 5 to 10, depending on what grade you're in, 5 to 10 realistic schools that you want to go to, and I can work with you. If you don't give me realistic schools, I'm not going to work with you.
Right.
This is just from a high school standpoint. And like
you just cut that to them straight.
Yeah.
Look, this is your level. This is where you go.
You can't sugarcoat life.
Yep.
Like you
just so young coaches stepping up in the game. No, I completely agree. We feel the same way, but don't be afraid because a lot of young coaches will tell people what they want to hear instead of and whisper sweet nothings.
Yeah.
Instead of what they need to hear.
For sure.
And like, don't let that kid get a broken heart because you built him up to think he could play at U of M when that's not realistic for him, especially when like grades matter and all that stuff.
There's kids that do this. Dude, I was recruiting a kid last year and like a couple weeks go by. I'm like, so dude, like, where do you see yourself? And he was like, dude, I want to go D2 or D1. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll talk to you later. Like, like this, we ain't that. Like, we'll find you'll come back if it don't work. But like, be realistic on what you don't just like, slide into a coach's DMs about that don't fit you. If you're 5'9", 180 and you run a 4'9", like be realistic. You should hit up every D3 to NAIA school that there is. Like, look at rosters at the school and see if that fits you. Like, you know what I mean?
Big
like
advice too. Transfer portal.
That's a big thing too. And just work. Make sure that some coach on staff, your head coach, works with you. Don't do this by yourself. You and your mom and your dad. Mom and dad most likely didn't play college sports. Or they didn't play college, and if they did, it was in the 90s and
it wasn't like these days.
Different time. Find someone that knows what they're doing, that has connections. Connections are so big, and that those connections are meaningful. And when you're talking to a coach, like, connect with them first.
That's great advice.
I tell my kids, I used to tell my kids at Brighton all the time, like,
phenomenal.
Hey, how you doing? Like, how's your day? Like, have a full conversation for a couple of days before you even get to the evaluation part.
I love that.
Or begging for a PWO or whatever. Like, make that relationship with coaches meaningful, and it will make them evaluate you more in a meaningful way. So,
and I know, like, we're all busy, so some kids will be like, "Oh, it's hard, man, because I got to go class this and that, blah blah blah." The thing is, that's why you have to pick those places that you can go.
Mm-hmm.
We're not texting 17 different schools when, like, realistically, you shouldn't be interested in 17 different schools. First off, are you just trying to go all around the world and have a good time for a minute on some visits? There's some, I know guys give like their top 5, right? Like that's hey, I get it. 5 right in the ballpark. I could see you having 5 different schools, but I think that comes down to like find the ones that you can go and are interested in you at the same time. And that eliminates you having to, try to keep up with communicating with a bunch of coaches, and you can put the time into those few coaches who you're really trying to get cool with. And I think to piggyback off of that, just talk to position coaches. A lot of guys, I think, try to message the head coach at different places all the time.
Hit the GAs up.
Boom. Hit the even GAs. Better advice.
You want to get started, hit the GAs up. The GAs are the ones that got 2,000 to 3,000 followers. It's not 100%. Not 20K, not 30K. That's not going to pay you any attention.
And not to hate on them coaches, but them guys ain't reading your messages, man.
No,
that's not their job anymore.
No,
that's not. They have guys doing that for them.
Yeah,
and then guys come to them and say, "Look, this guy looks good. This guy, we went out here Friday night, check this game."
Yeah.
But that's great advice, man. I love that for the young kids out there. Couple more questions. To piggyback off of that, how important is it for kids to attend camps, practices, and those sort of things at different places? Like for a kid to get recruited, especially here in Michigan, how important is it, you think, for them guys to go to different camps in the summer and that sort of thing?
If you're going, so go back to like our conversation about spring ball and all that stuff, like that is your spring ball. Like the camp circuit here in Michigan is your spring ball.
So look at it from that point of view.
You have to look at it from that point of view. That's how you're getting evaluated. Colleges aren't doing anything from May to really August as well. Like they're not doing anything when you're not doing anything.
Right.
Only thing they're doing is they're on the road evaluating,
trying to find guys.
Trying to find guys. So like you better show up. Another big thing as far as like helping and boosting up your recruiting, if you know that you are a good baller, when you go to those camps, you find out who's there. You find out the top guys and like go at them. Don't be scared to go at a Nick Marsh at a camp or
love that advice.
Don't hide in the back.
Love that advice.
Don't hide in the back. You're not going to eat if you hide in the back.
What you paying for the camp for and trying to get recognition for, and you ain't stepping up. Let's go.
Don't let mommy and daddy find out you hiding in the back.
Oh man, wasting their money. You supposed to be getting noticed here. Let's go. I love that advice.
Don't hide in the back and go get that money, because that's all. That's it, man. Like everybody, there's thousands of kids that want the same opportunity that you want. So like, how are you going to be different, and how are you going to get that opportunity? And then going to camps. And I think that piggyback on like be realistic at the camps you go to. Just don't go. Don't be a 6 foot 165 receiver thinking you're going to the U of M camp and they're going to look at you because they're not.
Yeah,
they're really.
I get that.
They're really not.
I always tell kids, if you're trying to go to that like U of M camp and you're not like U of M caliber, do it if you like. There is a few reasons. Like if you want to do it because you just have been a diehard U of M fan,
go for it,
and you get to shake Jim Harbaugh's hand.
Go for it.
Shoot, that was cool. I met Harbaugh last year when I joined the kid for a camp. It was cool, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, shoot, this is Jim Harbaugh. But and I also say, like, if you're a young guy, and you don't really even know where you stand yet, and you're just like, I just want to go compete and see, like, if I get whooped, like, I encourage like freshman, sophomore dudes that don't know where they're gonna be necessarily, go compete and see if you get your butt whooped.
If you're young,
see if you stand up. But I do think I always tell them this too. Here's the catch to all of this. You get a lot more out of the smaller schools.
Go to the small schools,
camps.
Man. Go to the small schools.
You learn a hell of a lot more, and a lot of people have a better chance of getting recruited at them schools. And I think, to be honest, and I've always praised you guys, you learn more at them camps. Now, I don't know what every position group does, but I know the backers and the receivers, for example, at your camp, always do some good stuff. We're not talking about just run a 40 and bench press and we're done at camp for the day. You guys get into releases for receivers, for example. You get into how to release into this route, how to release into this. It's beautiful stuff that you guys do there. So shout out to you guys for doing that. They have some camps coming up too, guys. Make sure you guys check out their Twitter, Coach Poe's page, my page. We've all shared that stuff. Get to them camps. They're good camps. Coach, last two questions.
Cool.
What do you think the health is of college football today?
The health of college football?
With everything going on, are we in good shape? Is the future bright?
I think it's a healthy route. I'm gonna tell you who really benefits from this is like just college sports in general. But like I know you and Don, I was watching, you guys were talking about the NIL stuff, and it really sparked to my mind.
Same question, but a little different. Yeah,
like the people who really benefit from it are the female athletes. I love what NIL does for the female athlete.
Okay.
Like I was talking to Brooks. I was talking to Brooks' dad, and and he was actually talking like we don't see any like big names like that in the draft anymore. I was like, those dudes are staying. Like stay and get like Aaliyah Boston just was the number one pick in the WNBA draft. She was making $72K. At South Carolina, she was making $115K.
What was it?
Caitlin Clark is probably making a fortune at Iowa right now.
Who was it? It was Clark. Cadaver, whatever they are. Cavader.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce them, man. The girls from Miami.
The two twins. They're done playing basketball now.
Caitlin, there was another girl that said they were making more in college. Why go pro? I'm not rushing. Oh no, it was Reese.
Yeah.
It was the girl from LSU.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not rushing to the WNBA. I'm good here at LSU. I'm making money. I'm like, why would you rush?
Come back.
Enjoy it.
And even for like the back end dudes, if you're a third or fourth string guy in college football, like you're not going to the league.
Right. So what's the point? You might as
you're
well
not going.
Stay and I know take this experience.
Yeah, and I know you're making money.
Right.
Like I think it's at a healthy spot for kids to set their futures up and set themselves up. And I can go back to college football. I think college football from all levels is in a great spot. And if you want to just like NAIA, like more people are recognizing NAIA football.
Yes. And JUCO.
And
HBCU.
Like, it's at a great point. Like for us in NAIA, we just expanded our playoff from 16 to 20 teams. So now it's awesome. Now it's going to be even more full tilt. Yeah. And like people are watching, and I think the transfer portal is helping us out because
viewership's blasting out in college football, college sports, college baseball, women's basketball. This tournament popped off for women's basketball. It was off the chain. It was fun as hell to watch too.
Yeah, I think college sports in general is in a healthy spot. College football is in a healthy spot. Because a lot of people hated the transfer portal and all this stuff, but like for Concordias and your Albions and all that, like we are gonna get some more quality kids that
100%,
that waited around, or the kid that hit the portal and no one came calling, and now it's like, let me go figure something out. So
you got any clap back to I just think it should be one period a year that the kids can transfer.
Yeah,
I don't like the whole I don't want to transfer whenever. I think that makes it hard for coaches.
Yeah.
And teams to kind of gel and get together.
Yeah.
I think just give them like a window throughout the year. Boom, you don't transfer during this window. It's over. You're there.
Yep.
So that way coaches have enough time to like get the roster together for, you know what I mean? Because they opened it not too long ago. Now they're about to open it again after spring ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think if we open this thing 3-4 times a year, it's like a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, it is.
So I think like I don't mind it, but I think if we just had
you gotta adjust
a nice solid adjustment of a period of time.
I think the NIL stuff needs to be adjusted too, but it's great.
I do too.
Both are great. It's
but
just
I think that's awesome too. I'm an entrepreneur too, man.
Yeah.
So like for me, I want to see a kid go out and go to a local car dealership and go, hey man, I'll come, sign some autographs for you and let's do something. I want to see that stuff because I want our country to become more. I want us to become a little more stronger with leaders and entrepreneurs and those sort of things.
No doubt.
Last question of the day. This is going to be a fun one. Best college football team ever, Coach. We got, I ain't got to say who some of the options are, but who?
It's the 2001 Canes.
Is it one Canes?
Yeah, dude, yeah.
So the only thing I could clap back with, the only thing that I had written down was the 04 USC Trojans.
Yes, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
They steamrolled everybody, though.
All right. Let me tell you something.
But I knew you were going to go Canes, and I didn't have the Canes on the board.
It's all right.
So if I got to go somebody else,
they would have outside zoned Reggie Bush, and Sean Taylor would have. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let you know.
What about 19 LSU?
I think it's this conversation it's tough because that's two different kinds of football, man.
Big time.
Two totally different.
The
game is so changed. Like kids are faster. Like Joe Brady was dialing up 100 pass plays. Like Joe was just slinging it. Like I think
with no remorse, man.
Like I love the Canes to death. So like obviously that's bias but if you look at the Hall of Famers and players, not saying the USC team didn't, but like if you look at it, like the 01 team, I said Sean Taylor was not really playing like that.
That team has so many people. If you go look it up, that if you had baseball
Frank Gore was
or
a third string
football
running
cards, man, and nobody even realizes how many guys were on the third and fourth string on that team that were like, you had football cards growing up and you were like, oh, this guy was great. And you're like, well, he was the third tight end there.
Yeah.
He was the second safety.
Yeah.
That team was so loaded. Yeah. I just knew I had to throw a couple options, on the table, man. But we always try to do like a fun one at the end, man, throw it up. That USC team, I actually brought this question up because I listened to a podcast the other day and they were talking about the results of that team. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about, Lincoln Riley and how he just hired, Cliff and can they get back and all that. But man, they were talking about that team and I was like, God, that team was so good.
Yeah.
Probably my second favorite offense to watch behind them West Virginia offenses. Everybody knows I'm a big Pat White, Steve Slayton guy.
Yeah.
Those were if I had to pick a favorite team to watch, it was probably those West Virginia teams. They're not the best, obviously, to ever do it, but like most fun, man. Pat White, it doesn't really get more fun than Pat White and Steve Slayton.
That's true.
You know what I mean, man? It was so, Coach. We want to have you back on the show in the future. We hope you'll come back.
I love to.
Let's go through football season, see how you guys do. We'll be out at some games. Obviously, I'll be out myself. You guys got a couple big games on the schedule. There's a couple matchups on that schedule that all the matchups are good, man. It's going to be good football. NAIA, like he said, has been great football.
Yeah.
But there is just a few matchups that I really, really hope that our communities in general, Downriver, Detroit Metro, even Monroe County, go to these games. We really want to see that Wayne State Concordia game.
Yes,
there's a couple games on the schedule that I looked at. That Siena Heights game, obviously that's a rivalry game right there, so that's fun.
Yep.
That'll be a lot of fun. We got kids that go from our area that go play at Siena Heights,
for sure.
Kids from Romulus that have went there in the past, and Concordia, and so all fun matchups. Please make sure you guys get out to a spring practice. Coach said open to the public. Spring game is open. It's a beautiful campus and facility over there. The football stadium is like, I know it's not brand new, but man, it's like brand new over there. It's beautiful. Yeah. So make sure you guys come out. Good football, better people over there. Yeah. I'm telling you guys what they preach about being family oriented and welcoming people in, student athletes. They really do. So any guys in our area or gals who want to go out and watch their practice and watch how they roll, talk to coaches.
For sure.
They're very open to people. and then go catch a game. So they got tickets that I'm sure will drop at some point in the next few months, like everybody else.
Not expensive at all, neither.
No, and I would say they're fair, very fair. My wife and I caught a couple games, one in the snow last year.
Yeah, man, come watch them.
It's great football. They're going to have a good year, I think. I believe they will have a great year. It'll be a rebound year.
Yeah, schedule set up for us nice, especially going to that Wayne State at night. Like I know our kids are like,
come on, guys,
not to look forward, like look ahead, but like,
come on, guys.
Our guys are like are from Detroit or like, everybody knows about Wayne State here, and like it's
100%.
just that opportunity for little Concordia to go in there and like really shock a lot of people.
We need everybody in the area. Monroe County, downriver, Metro Detroit. We need you all at that game. That needs to be just big program
for sure.
For both of you. It needs to be huge.
With Ty Wheatley, like being there in his first year, like
for those who don't know.
Yeah, it's like a lot. That game will be big in so many aspects for.
And then the Concordia rebound season, man.
Man.
Donovan says something like it might be a little revenge time this year. Revenge tour time.
Revenge tour is what the guys are talking about.
That's what he said. So
yeah,
we're excited, man. Coach, we got to get through a few links before we get out of here so they know where to find you.
Yeah.
You can find Kennedy Health and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram or KennedyHealthWellness.com. Coach K Training, we have a Facebook group, actually. Make sure you guys join the group or ask me for the link. All the updates to our camps and everything go on there. BrainJerkEntertainment.com. You can also find those guys on Instagram and Facebook. Stay updated with all their events and everything they have going on. Concordia Football. Guys, make sure you go follow them on Twitter, Instagram. I don't know if they're on Facebook, but I do know they're on Twitter and Instagram. You can find Coach Poe. Poe, where can we find you, Coach?
At Coach Poe 864 on Twitter and Instagram, but mainly Twitter. Like my Twitter is always open. Especially for you high school kids that watch this, they can hit my line. My phone's open. Like my number is open.
Follow you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Follow him on Twitter, you guys who are listening to this. So any of you young guys that are interested in Concordia or, you guys want to learn something from Coach Poe or just reach out about anything in the process, any of that.
Anything.
He's an open book, man. He's always willing to give his knowledge. Make sure you guys reach out. This was a great show today. Coach, we'll have you back on here in the fall. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next week, we have Coach Christopher Harris. He was over at River Rouge for a while. I believe he was there when they won the state title, from what I hope I'm not mistaken that, but I believe. He also runs a business. I believe it's called Maximum Movement Solutions. So they work with athletes on recovery stuff. And I believe he's over at Harper Woods now coaching. So another good episode next week. We've been in a football mode lately here during spring ball. It's been awesome. Spring ball, the Kicking It with Coach K podcast has brought football in. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, thank you, man.